Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Air Simple Hoya. Again, my name is Bonner, James Bonner, and we are here today with Mr. Terry Spain, a good friend of mine, a brother of mine, and sometimes he even calls me shipmate.
That's right, shipmate.
Can't say it too often, the Army buddies might get me. So what I want to do today is we're going to have a good discussion with Terry. We're going to go over some of the attributes in his life and some of the experiences that he's had as far as leadership and being in the Navy and so much more. But before we get into that, I want to go over some of his background so you know at least who you're talking to and who you're listening to today. So he's volunteered a lot in his life. He's always a part of the community. He's always doing some great things. And I just want to kind of highlight those real quick. He was a course facilitator in Inroads. He's a motivational speaker, life skills trainer at the Brevard County Juvenile Detention Center, life skill coordinator. He's a veterans chairman at the NAACP. He's a mentor at the Big Brothers and Big Sisters. He's an advisor at Bob Feller Act of Valor Award Foundation. And moving into his formal education, he holds a bachelor's of mass communications from Thomas Edison State College. He was a regional equal opportunity advisor at the Naval District of Washington. His main job in the Navy was he also was public relations.
Mass
So
communication.
that's his mass communications. That's where he kind of followed his degree plan.
Yeah.
He retired as a chief petty officer with 21 years, 6 months.
Navy Chief, Navy Pride.
Okay, here we go again. Any minutes or hours did you calculate it to that?
I didn't go to that extreme.
Okay, some of y'all out there are doing that if you retired. I didn't do it. Okay, maybe I did. We'll have to see. Okay. So yeah, 21 years, United States Navy. Go Navy. Where we actually met was at the, I think I mentioned it before, but the Defense Equal Opportunity Management Institute. We were both trainer, facilitators, small group facilitators, platform discussion. So a lot of different things here in Patrick Air Force Base in Florida. So that's where I had the opportunity to meet Terry, and we've been friends ever since. So had a little bit of history right there. Then after he left the military, he was a trainer manager at the Guardian Ad Litem program. He actually offered that opportunity to me to volunteer, and we could talk about it a little bit later, but that was a very humbling experience. If you've never volunteered for different causes, that one right there was very close to me. It's very difficult, but it's definitely worthy and necessary to help the kids that are in our communities who don't have the families in place anymore that they used to.
It's true.
And then finally, he is the owner and consultant at Terry Spain Consulting, which we'll get into a little bit later. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, Terry, it's a pleasure to have you here today.
Likewise.
So I read his book, and I know there's a lot of good stories. I've kind of heard a little bit, but I saw it was in your book as well, about like where you started. The story that you had as a child is very interesting, and it's very touching to hear where people come from as far as health or lifestyle, or it doesn't matter. So it's very important that we kind of look over those things in this interview so people know who the Terry Spain is. So ladies and gentlemen, Terry's going to talk a little bit more about his childhood, and we'll continue the conversation. Terry.
Thanks, and once again, thanks, James. I definitely appreciate you doing this. This definitely means a lot. So, as James mentioned before, I'm originally from South Carolina. A lot of folks like to say the great state of South Carolina. But on top of that, I was a military child, so I actually grew up in Naples, Italy. So I spent a lot of my time growing up in Italy, which actually kind of honed and prepared me to be the leader and the person that I am today. So I was very humble and very glad to have an opportunity to, grow up in Italy and actually grow up in South Carolina as well. So it was a win-win situation for me.
Okay, awesome. And then you mentioned there was something specific in your book that you were mentioning about something that happened in your life that kind of structured who you are today as far as what you had to go through. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I'll definitely be able to share that. So For those that don't know, and it's in my book, so I don't want to give it off too much, but I will say at the age of 17, I had something that was very eye-opening for me, an experience in the summer of 1994. I had a ruptured appendix, and my appendix completely exploded, and I was in the hospital for a month. I had to learn how to walk all over again. I lost almost 30 pounds. You know, I had to eat through tubes through my neck because I couldn't eat hard food. And this was all at the age of 17. And so for me, being 17, I didn't think anything, you know, would happen to me like that. You know, I'm young, I'm energetic. I played a lot of basketball, and, you know, basketball was my thing. But I think for me, in that experience, in that time, for me, really grounded me and really got me to seeing the person that I am today. I was a little embarrassed initially because I lost weight and, you know, I had to learn how to walk all over again. I was always wondering what other people would think about me. But all throughout the whole entire time, I'm a firm believer in God. I knew God was preparing me for this particular moment. So I'm extremely grateful. And I'm glad that it did happen to me. Initially, I used to question and ask, why me? And then so in my book, I said, why not you? And that's where I got that from, because we so quick to, me in particular, at that time was asking, why me, why me, why me? But never asked, why not me?
Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and you know, you mentioned a lot of things about that struggle. And a lot of us go through struggles, and we're going to look at maybe a few more things, but it's really how do you respond to that struggle or that experience that was challenging to you. Terry chose to go through it and come out of it and be the person that he is today,
right?
Which is where his roots start. So, you know, being able to travel around to Italy, and you know, those things are cool. My kids even say that they like to go to different places,
right,
and things. So you grew up kind of in a military family as well. I know your father was a Marine, right?
Hoorah.
Okay. So yeah, and that's my other father. So I kind of forced my way into Terry's family during his retirement, which we'll look at later. But anyway, hello family, if you're watching this.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so then after that, you moved on. You got older, and you decided what you wanted to do with your life.
Right.
Maybe after high school. So I always ask this question, but out of all the different branches, what was the reason that you chose the Navy over all the other branches?
Wow, that's the $1 million question. And I'm gonna surprise you with something too, James. Right. A lot of folks don't know this about me, but I actually was gonna go in the United States Marine Corps. I was living in Beaufort, or Paris Island, where the Marine Corps base was at when I joined, and I was all in to join the Marines. I was mentally, I was physically ready to go. And remember when I told you that I had my ruptured appendix? The doctor only recommended me for 2 branches, and that was the Navy or the Air Force, because he said that the boot camp would be too strenuous for my stomach because I wanted to go in right away. Okay. And so I didn't really want to go in the Air Force because I didn't really know anybody in the Air Force. But I had 2 brother-in-laws that were in the Navy, and I remember growing up in Italy, a lot of the ships used to come in, the fleet used to come in and hit different ports, and I used to see all these sailors walking off the ship, and they would explain to me and tell me all the different countries that they visited, and I was like, man, that's exciting, you know? So all that stuff replayed back in my mind as I was making my decision to join the branch of service, and that was the Navy, and that was one of the main reasons why. My brother-in-laws were definitely a very influential part in that. Okay. And just remembering all the good stuff that I seen from the sailors that were coming off the ships.
Okay, well, awesome. I didn't even know that part. So thank you for sharing that. That's definitely a good reason for joining the Navy. Not just because of the doctor,
right,
but because of the positive influences that your brother-in-law and the people around you had on you. Initially, I'm assuming your dad convince you're going to join the Marines, and you said, well, I'd love to.
Yeah. But why not, right?
The doctor said no, so why do I?
Yeah.
So yeah. That's I like that. That's very interesting. So once you join the Navy, right?
World's greatest Navy.
World's greatest. Okay. I have to concur with that one.
All right.
The world's greatest Navy. Sometimes it can be challenging to be in the Navy or any branch of service, but specifically the Navy. What would you say was one of the more difficult? What was difficult about being in the Navy, if anything at all?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I do love the Navy. I tell people this all the time, and I get excited every time I get an opportunity to speak about the Navy. But some of the difficult things that I had to encounter, honestly, was actually when I went on my first ship. Um, the opportunities of just getting underway and going from place to place and not seeing land for 50 days, 40 days. You know, those were some of the things that actually builds character, believe it or not. That prepared me for a lot of the stuff that I am encountering now, being out to sea. But after my first ship, and then I went on another ship, I kind of grew to love it. So it was difficult initially, as you can think of as a young sailor, you know, having to go to different ports and having to be underway for a certain amount of time. And so that was difficult initially. And then I say the biggest thing is when we are out to sea, missing your family and friends is probably one of the most difficult things.
Right. That's definitely a very common trend from, you know, the people that I interview and that I talk to just from being in the Army for so many years, is if you're going to have a family, you have to consider what they're going through as well.
Right.
When you leave for 3 months, or you leave for a year or 2 years, or whatever the tour is, the family, whoever your spouse is, they have to be a strong person.
Mm-hmm.
And I just admire the ones who have to do it without their sailor,
right,
without their service member being there, because it's a hard job, you know. And I can tell you from my experience, when I used to come home from even a 30-day, you know, field problem, or, you know, it's leaving the house for 30 days to go do Army stuff.
Yeah.
When I got home, my wife was like, "Here are the kids." And I was like, I just want to relax.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in the field sweating and making equipment. So I really do applaud the families that endure.
Right.
You know,
I agree.
As you said, when you were younger, you were moving around a little bit. So that was one of your struggles, or some of the things that, you know, were a little bit tougher than, say, the average person would understand.
Right.
What was some of the things that you just thoroughly enjoyed about being in the Navy?
Man, do you have time?
I think we do.
No, actually, one of the things, I'm gonna go off a couple of them, but one of the first thing that I enjoyed, honestly, as I met my wife in the Navy, and she was a sailor as well, and so she definitely understood when it was time for me to go deploy. She understood that even after she got out, so I was definitely appreciative of her stepping in during those times that you mentioned before, those challenging times, and when you have your child there and she has to handle everything. Oh, and by the way, we got to move, so you got to handle all the moving stuff too. So she did a whole myriad and a facet of everything without me even being there. So I definitely appreciate her for that, and I thank her for that. So that was one thing. But just the people. I mean, I've met some amazing people, and some of those people that I met throughout my journey in the Navy actually contributed in helping me write my book that we're going to talk about. I know you said you wanted to talk about that. But I've been knowing some of these friends that now I don't even consider them friends. I consider them family. I've been knowing them for over 25, 24, 23 years, you know, right. And we've remained in touch, and we had that solid bond. And so the traveling, the going to different countries, understanding different cultures, meeting my wife and meeting my great friends and that I now consider family, right. Those were the best things in the Navy for me.
That's awesome. And a lot of us, you know, we have similar experiences, and, you know, meeting the camaraderie. We may never, when we leave a duty station, for example, or you leave a port or whatever, we have people that we know. Mm-hmm. And we may say, hey, let's keep in touch.
Right.
But if it's anything like the Army, we don't really keep in touch. But if we ever saw each other, we could pick back up.
Oh, yeah.
Right where we left off. Mm-hmm. Still friends. So those relationships are definitely important. And, you know, having, like you said, your wife there to do pretty much carry everything until you return.
Exactly.
That's a big job. So, you know, with you being a volunteer for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, what would you... For those out there who may be considering going into the United States Navy, what would be advice to them about joining the military? What do you wish you knew before you went that you could advise them and say, hey, consider this?
That's actually a great question, and I was just mentioning this to a young man who asked me about the Navy because he was interested in joining. So I pretty much just gave him a rundown of the stuff that I wish I would have known while I joined. But so I told him, I said, you're gonna be dangerous, man, if you listen to what I tell you, and just do even half the stuff. But one of the things that I would tell anyone who's interested in joining the Navy is you have to understand that the Navy is a business, but also you have to be ready. You can't treat this like an ordinary job, a 9 to 5, because if you're thinking you're just going to get off and then don't have anything to do after you get off of work, then maybe the military, not even just the Navy, but the military may not be for you. Right. However, I would say that the joy that you get when you wear that uniform, and that's one of the things that I was very glad and gracious to do, is wear that uniform. But education is definitely key. But before you go in, make sure you pick a job that is actually going to benefit you, even if you only decide to do 4 years. Right. So I would tell people to do that, in particular, women or men, or young man or young woman. It doesn't matter. And education is definitely a key. Saving and investing is I've seen so many people get out the military and they had absolutely nothing to show for it. So I would definitely challenge, just like I used to do a lot of my sailors, and challenge them and say, hey, you're going to save. You're going to take some college classes. You're going to do some investments. And also, maybe even invest in a house. Yeah. I tell my daughter this all the time. She's 21 years old. I said, man, when I was your age, I didn't even think about buying a house. But if I was to buy a house at your age, that would have been perfect for me, So these are some of the little tidbits and stuff that I would give a younger sailor if they was to ask me about it. And I'll tell them, hey, take your time, be patient. Not everything is going to happen overnight. Right. Because I see all too often a lot of these younger generation wants everything to happen right now. Right. Well, sometimes the wait is worth it. And so it takes time, and it takes some patience. So I would definitely recommend that.
Right. So yeah, thank you for that. So one of the things that I know, Terry, a little bit deeper than what we're talking here, but there's something called tough love. So sometimes when you have people that are willing to challenge you to do something, whether it's investments or whatever, and education and finances or whatever it is, and they take the time to actually give you volunteering or just sitting with you for a few minutes to explain something, we expect that you bring something back. Maybe you try it out and do it, and you come back and kind of let us know, hey, what's going on. So that tough love, if anyone is giving you that kind of expertise to take the time out of because that's the only thing you can't get back.
Right.
It's time.
It's time.
Right. So if somebody's spending the time with you to educate you on something that may benefit you, not hurt you, but to benefit you in your life, take it.
Take it.
If you see Terry and you are thinking about the Navy, he's an excellent resource, and he's going to be honest with you. He's not going to sugarcoat anything.
Exactly.
It's going to be straight to the point, and it'll be up to you. Now that you're informed, it's your responsibility.
Yes.
As that person.
Yes.
You're responsible. If you didn't know, you didn't know. But if you know and you make a different choice, that's your choice. So that's kind of where we were looking at that. So, all right. So 21 years, United States Navy. You had some good experiences. You had some challenging experiences. You made it though.
Exactly.
You made it all the way through.
Hurrah.
What was your transition like? Was it when you got out of the Navy from looking at it from when you decided, maybe up until maybe your first 6 months of being out? What kind of experience did you have transitioning out of the Navy?
That's an excellent question, and I think a lot of people ask that question to themselves as they prepare to get out of the military. But James, I tell you, like I tell a lot of other people, when I knew that I wanted to get out the military, even before then, I was already preparing to get out. And preparing means to me was saving, investing, education, no debt. My goal was to be debt free when I got out the military, when I retired. and with the exception of maybe your typical mortgage and your phone bill and electric bill. Other than that, I was debt free, and so I didn't have the. I was nervous, but I wasn't as nervous as the average person that didn't prepare like that. And not to sound braggadocious or anything, but I took advice from a lot of people who had recently got out the military or had been gone out of the military for many years. And I listened to them and I prepared and I did that. And I do the same thing and try to help other folks when they get out. I help them out. I say, hey, make sure your claims are good to go. Make sure that you understand that your check goes from 2 checks to 1 check per month. Oh, by the way, it's cut in half as well, you know. And so I just try to prepare them, and I know that they hear that all the time, but I just kind of reiterate that to them because that's needed. They need to know that, and they have and make sure they have a game plan as they take their journey out the military. So that's what I did, and so I wasn't as anxious as I thought I was. Honestly, I thought something was wrong with me because I was like, why am I not nervous, you know? Right. And the reason why is because I did everything in the last 5 or 6 years that I had to do in order to not be in that situation where I knew that I was going to have a difficult time.
Right. So yeah, transitioning is such an important thing when you leave the military.
Right.
Because there's so much stuff, there's so much information. And a lot of time people just check that block. They say, hey, we did it for you. Now it's up to you. And there's a lot of stuff that, you know, we don't understand that Terry mentioned when your finances, especially right now with the pandemic and, you know, some of the resources and government agencies that we have to use, they have to push back their schedule. Mm-hmm. So that means that it's going to be a little bit, you have to be prepared definitely financially.
Right.
Because when you have to take your medical appointments and things like that, they may not be there.
Exactly.
So if you're thinking about retiring, really find out, like Terry is mentioning, really find out the plan. What are the time hacks? Mm-hmm. When do you need to have certain things done? And don't wait. So you got to make sure you take care of that.
I agree.
Yeah. And like I was talking with John Brewster in the other interview with him, you know, he's a great resource as well.
Exactly. He sure is.
Do resumes. Job placements. There's a lot of people doing a lot of great things.
Yes.
So make sure you contact the experts. Again, not the barracks lawyer. What do y'all call them in the Navy?
C lawyers.
C lawyers. Please don't talk to them. You can, but I highly don't recommend that because you're only going to get part of the picture. Mm-hmm. Talk to an expert, somebody that can help you with that transitioning, whether you are retiring or whether you are just transitioning out of whatever branch of service.
I agree. I definitely agree.
All right, so you went through the Navy, you retired, you're doing good things now. Mm-hmm. I remember you working at the Guardian Ad Litem program. I know you have your own business now. Mm-hmm. Terry Spain Consulting, mm-hmm. You're the owner of that business, LLC. What made you choose to start your own business?
Well, I've always been fascinated with starting my own business. I had some family members around me that have had their own business, and I asked them questions and what it would take, and some friends of what it would take, because I know it's tough owning your own business. After doing my research, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot, and if I fail, at least I gave it a shot. And fortunately, I haven't failed in that aspect. But the main reason why I decided to start my own business is because I wanted to be my own boss at one time. You know, I wanted to see how it felt to have somebody call you and say, hey, we want to hire you for your services and pay you. You know what I mean? And so after having the opportunity to do that, I definitely, it felt great. Honestly, it did. And then just when people get out of the military, they ask, hey, what are you going to do? They automatically think you got to go do something else. Right. And so I was one of those people that honestly thought the same thing. But starting my own business, you work for yourself. You know, you get to do more research. You get to understand more things. You get to correspond. You get to network with other folks who have started their own business as well. And I've had an opportunity to do that, and it's been working wonders. Traveling to different companies just to make them better. And you could definitely attest to that, you know. And so just starting my own business, I took a risk, I took a chance, and I like where it's going, and I'm excited about it, and I know it's more to come.
Right.
Yeah.
So Terry mentioned that he took a chance. He took a chance on himself. That's one of the biggest things that I've seen throughout all the business that I've done since I've retired as well, is people are scared to make that first step.
Exactly.
They have good idea. They plan because they want it to be perfect, and not all the time do you have time for that. Then it's a year and you're still working on the same project.
Yeah.
You're still trying to get into, and you're steady watching other people progress into their. That's the biggest thing that I see with business. So, and that's why I love entrepreneurs, because they take a chance, they invest in themselves,
Exactly.
and nobody should care more about you or your business more than you. People will care, they'll love you, and they'll appreciate what you're doing, but you have to care. You have to make the first step to go forward.
Yeah, and I tell folks, and sometimes when I go and speak, in particular with younger kids who are, I try to get them to take that risk. I ask them, have there anyone in here ever heard of WD-40? And some of them will raise their hand and say, hey, yeah, I've heard of it. And I said, well, do you know where that name came from and why they came with WD-40? And I told them, a lot of them was like, no, I never heard of it, you know. So I said, well, first of all, the WD stands for water displacement. And then I said to them, it was a group of scientists in San Diego that was trying to find a way to come up with a solution where you can, you know, avoid rust.
Right.
And so it took them 40 times, and they got it right. And so that's why the name is WD-40. It could have been WD-38 if they was on the 38th try, but it was WD-40. And I tell a lot of folks, in particular the younger generation, that particular invention has served wonders in so many households. And we just imagine if they would have given up or never even tried. Then you would have missed out on something that's so monumental in to this day and age. I have WD-40 here. I use it every time I hear some of my doors closing and then hear that. I spray that WD-40 and it works every time. So I explained to them, hey, look how important WD-40 was. So if they had that time, if they thought that much in that particular invention, just imagine what you can do.
And imagine if they would have gave up at 39. There would be no
WD-40. Exactly.
So yeah, it's going and going all the way through, doing your research, not just on a whim. Definitely just going forward, and that's what it's all about as far as your business. Now, Terry has taken his knowledge from all the things that you've heard, and he's applied it to leadership. Leadership is big for us. Especially being in the military, when you were talking about getting your stuff right for being in the military.
Right.
A lot of employers are looking for the military. They look for we're able to follow, we're able to lead, we're able to do a lot. We wake up on time, majority of us.
Yeah.
But we do what we were taught for so many years. 20 years and doing something is going to have, you know, some positive attributes if you did it successfully. So he took all his knowledge. And I want you to please tell, you know, the audience a little bit more about your book. What made you start writing a book? Because some people don't ever start.
Right.
But what made you start writing a book? You know, just kind of the process.
Okay.
And to where it is today, and then tell us a little bit more about. Don't give us too much.
All right.
What's in the book? Because he wants you to read it.
Oh, most definitely.
You know, please support him and find the book. As a matter of fact, I'll put a link in the description. At the end of this video,
okay,
you'll see it at the end. So it's a very well managed book. It's laid out really nice. He's got a lot of great reviews. I think all of his reviews are 5-star. So that should tell you something about his book. So, you know, what made you even start writing a book?
Well, to be honest with you, I've always wanted to write a book, but in this particular time and I was speaking at a conference, and one of the young ladies who was there, who also was an author, she said to me, do you realize that everyone who's speaking on this panel with you today has a book except for you? And at that time, I didn't think about it, and I was like, wow, she made a lot of sense. She said, I don't care if you have 40 pages, You need to have something that so when you speak or when you're out, people can remember you by. And I promise you that next week, I started writing Just Lead, my book. And she's been helping me out. She helped me out a lot with the book. And I'm definitely appreciative of that, you know. But I was sitting there, I was like, man, she's right, you know. Everybody's writing a book. Why not me? You know, you not why me, but it's why not me. And so I did that every Sunday morning. Every Sunday morning, I would get up and go upstairs and write a portion of my book.
Okay.
And I don't know why God chose that day for me, but I got up and my mind was clear and I was just writing until he said, okay, you're done. And then I just went and put it up, and then I kept, you know, reviewing it, looking and doing all these other different things. I was nervous because it's my first book, and of course, you know, your first book, first anything, most of the time you make mistakes and things of that nature. So I didn't want to make mistakes, but I understand that you have to make mistakes because that's how you grow.
Right.
And so, but the book has been great. I've been getting a lot of support from a lot of great people, and I just want to thank everyone who supported me. A lot of my friends and family, and some people I didn't even know, supported me off the strength of someone else recommending the book. In the book, I asked 4 gentlemen that I know to 4 gentlemen that I know that to help write a page about leadership in the book because I respected them, and those gentlemen were Gary Richardson, Gregory Cole, Edward Johnson, and Ray Kemp. And so, after asking them, they immediately responded and said, "Yeah, I got you." And I didn't have to hassle them to write the page. They responded in an appropriate amount of time, and I thank them for that because I think that they added a lot of substance to the book. Right. And so when you have friends, you remember how we talked about before, those friends who you value in the military that are now family? Right. Those are friends and families, you know, and we have history. Out of all the gentlemen that I mentioned, I knew Edward Johnson the longest. We actually served on our first ship together. And the USS Incheon out of Ingleside, Texas in 1997 is when I met him. So just imagine that. We still remain friends since 1997 on to, you know, people that I met in Italy, Gregory Cole, Ray Kemp I met in Washington, D.C., and Gary Richardson where I met at Diomi where you and I have served too. Yeah. So those gentlemen answered the call and they made the book a whole lot better. Honestly, I'm extremely grateful for that too. So yeah.
Wow. So shout out to Gary Richardson. He's a mentor of mine as well.
Oh yeah.
And very inspirational. He's one of the. We'll have to do an interview with Gary. Gary, if you're interested, we can do a video about interview with you. But yeah, those people that it's not. You don't have to do it all by yourself.
Exactly.
There are people out there who are willing to help. Sometimes we just have to ask. But I know a lot of time, military-wise, we get too proud. We think we have to do everything by ourselves. So reach out to the people that you know that are in your community that you've known for many years, and just see if they'll help. So that's amazing. You have to read the book. It's not a long read at all.
Exactly.
It's the right length to have a book to read. And the last time I checked, hopefully it's going to restock. But his book is selling very fast. I think he has some people interested in the educational field.
Yes.
That's willing to maybe sponsor the book or use the book in their curriculum.
Yeah, and I actually did that by design, not having a big book, because I know a lot of the average reader and the attention span for a lot of folks who are not avid readers, right. They don't want to read a long, big, drawn-out book, you know? So I wanted to get something quick, they could take notes, they can understand, and it really hits home. And that was my goal for this book. And I really want to thank the Horry County school system in my hometown of Conway, South Carolina. They actually bought some books from me to support. Beyond Our Walls in Charleston, South Carolina, I was able to do a Zoom call with them, and they purchased books, and they supported me with that too. So I'm definitely appreciative of that. And everyone else who either told someone about the book or invested in the book, I definitely appreciate that.
Right. Yeah. So. Yeah, the book is going to be there. Please support Terry and his venture to educate and share his experiences as a leader for so many years. I'm trying to think. Is the name of the book? I don't think we mentioned that.
It's Just Lead.
Just Lead.
Yes.
Right.
Leadership begins with you.
Leadership begins with you. I like
Oh yeah,
that.
yeah.
And an excellent book. If I can't say that enough. So you wrote the book, and you have your company now, and you're doing some amazing things in the not just in the community, but with your family. You're successful. You're doing a lot of great things, and that's what this interview, this conversation, I'll say, because this is more of a conversation, is about. I want to highlight the people that we would normally not hear your story unless you went to events and they started to know who you are. And,
Right.
This is for the people who've done service to this country. They dedicated their life to making this a better place, at least the best way we can.
Right.
Through our jobs, and that's what this is all about. After the book, let's see, we moved on to. Let's go with this. Is there any other honorable mentions, or is there any other thing that we haven't discussed today that you would like to mention at this point?
Well, we did discuss a lot, so that's actually good. But one of the things that I think that I want to mention is there are a lot of young kids that I mentor, and I know some of them are going to see this video. And I just want to take this time to let them know that you can do whatever you want to. You have to be dedicated, and you have to be motivated. And like James mentioned before, don't feel like you have to do it all yourself. So like I said, I've seen some kids that I've encountered that are doing some amazing stuff. They're really doing some great things. But I want to, for those who are doubting themselves, don't doubt yourself. Just go. And if you fail, WD-40. Just remember that WD-40. 40 times it took them. So.
That's awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the impasse, but it's not the last.
Yes.
We're definitely going to keep up with Terry as he goes throughout his adventures and through his journey further in life. So we're gonna, anytime you want to come back, give me a call, and we'll definitely make that happen.
And if anyone is interested and they want to know more about the website or whatever, they can go to terryspainconsulting.com, and then that way you can see some of the information and some of the videos and this video will probably actually be uploaded on there as well. So just so they can get some more insight, and if they want any tips or anything on how to start their business, that'd be perfect. I can help them out with that as well.
Okay. And if somebody wanted to contact you, is that the best way on the website, or is there an email or something you'd like to post? I'll put it in the description.
Okay.
But if there's something you want to say the website one more time, just so they know what it is.
So terryspainconsulting.com. If you go on that website, they have a contact page. You can contact me on there. I'm also available on you can look me up on Instagram, TerrySpain21, or you can look me up on Facebook, which is Terry Spain Consulting LLC, or LinkedIn under Terry Spain.
So he is reachable.
Yes.
So you don't have any excuse not to contact him for his services or to find out more about what he can assist you with. He does a lot of public speaking.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll just keep the conversation going. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we went over Terry's life events. We went through his career in the Navy, and we also looked at him after the Navy and how well he's doing. I just want to say thank you to all the audience members who's watching this right now. I truly appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't hit my mic right there. But thank you for paying attention. Thank you for watching. This truly helps out one of our local veterans who is doing some great things. And there's going to be more content coming up. All of Terry's links that he told us a little bit while ago will be in the description. So if you need a quick reference, you can find it there. Continue to support this page because there's going to be a lot more that we're going to do. And it's going to be some great events in my journey as we go forward. And
please support them. Please support them.
Thank you. As we recognize the veterans who don't get a voice all the time. So again, thank you for visiting us today. Air Semper Huya. I'm Bonner, James Bonner, and this is
Terry Spain.
Terry Spain.
Go Navy. Navy Chief.
Oh, goodness. Go
Navy
Army.
Pride.
No, I'm joking. All right, take care. I salute you all, past, present, veterans, people who support our veterans. Thank you. I salute you. Have a great day and an even better week. Thank you.